Well, unless you've been living under a rock. Oh no, I start again. If you are someone that has better things to do with your time, you may not know that Theresa May has resigned as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. What is there to say about that? I haven't got anything to say. I feel so little about Theresa May, either way. There is no sadness, no joy, no hatred, no fear. There's just nothing. It's just nothing. But of course, that's because I am a regular everyday person, sort of. I am someone that just cares about, good things. But there are some people out there whose bread and butter it is to care too much and to always have an opinion on something, like the eternal man boy that we know and love, Owen Jones. Owen Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get a one finger clap for his career, what he has given to society, to journalism, to art? But of course, the one thing you should do is when an elderly woman cries and loses her, and resigns amidst much hostility, is you should kick an elderly woman when she's down. Stamp on her, curb stomp her face. That's what you should do. That's what grown-ups do.
Feel no pity for Theresa May. She has been the worst Prime Minister in modern times,
says Owen. Look at him. I just love Owen. I never really reference Owen's little profile picture there that he has with, with his it's just like, this jumper says nothing. This shirt, regular. Nothing bougie about me. Deceit and dishonesty were hallmarks of her doomed reign. From her Brexit dealings to the Windrush scandal, she has failed. Now, it wouldn't be an Owen Jones article about a Conservative politician without mentioning Windrush at least once. That is the law. Spare me the inevitable pity for Theresa May after her tearful farewell address this morning. Oh, wasn't she given such a terrible hand, people might cry? Or is it her fault that her backbenchers are such a bunch of Neanderthal extremists? And it's not her fault Brexit is such an undeliverable mess, is it? I don't know who he's quoting there. I think these are quotes that Owen has made up himself. Probably in his little pad that he writes on, in crayon. We must see through this. May is the worst Prime Minister on their own terms since Lord North's reign in the late 18th century, when the US colonies declared their independence. I know not who Lord North is, or what he did. May did indeed inherit a terrible hand. She then proceeded to douse it liberally with petrol and set it alight. Now, I don't know about that. I think, all in all, that everyone will be given a hard time. I think the whole Brexit thing is a mess. And anyone who's going to step up was going to be pooed on from a very large height, so it splattered all over them. And I kind of feel for her in a way. It was a lose-lose situation, wasn't it? David Cameron ducked out and left it for some poor schlub to take the reins and be the fool guy. Or fool woman. Or maybe the reason she didn't do so well is because she is a woman. Maybe. I don't know. Let's start with Brexit. Well, why not the most popular thing on planet Earth, next to the Avengers? The official Leave campaigns and their vitriol about migrants and refugees.
Well, their vitriol about migrants and refugees. Because they're the most important people on Earth.
In Owen's world, migrants and refugees are the most important people. And you cannot be mean to them. You cannot say anything about them. It's evil. Merely built on the foundations laid by a Home Secretary who sent go-home vans around mixed communities, not just communities, mixed communities, mixed, lots of mix, lots of different people. They were mixed. That's the worst part of it. Not just communities, not go-home vans. Did you see the go-home van? Did you see it? It's like the mystery machine out of Scooby-Doo. It says, "Go home." That's literally, they bang on the door. "Hello? Yes, we're here to take you home. Your real home." That's what happened. Who spread pernicious myths of being unable to deport illegal migrants because they owned a pet cat. I'm sure it's some random story that is insignificant, and under whose watch gay refugees felt obliged to film themselves having sex to avoid deportation. Right. Well, I'm not even going to, I'm pretty sure that they weren't asked to do that, but they probably thought that was what they should do. But then again, how else are you going to prove you're real gay? If your whole case of not being deported is, well, I will be persecuted in my homeland. Why? It's because I'm gay. You're like, okay. Can you prove you're gay? Can you prove you're gay? It's a hard thing to prove you're gay. But then isn't it hard to, I don't know, how do you prove your religion half the time? Do you have a test? Isn't there a gay, I expect there's a lot of questions you could ask religious people that tick a lot of boxes going, "Oh, yep, he knows this. Oh, yep. But I'm talking religious persecution, but gay persecution, I don't know. But there must be a test. It's 1 to 10, how much do you love Barbara Streisand? Stereotypical things like that that you'd hear from an old comedian's mouth. There is only one discernible consistency in May's ideology. I say her fucking ideology, and that is bashing migrants. That's right. Whenever I heard her talk, it was just banging them on the head, banging them now. Bang them. God, she's like Hitler, isn't she? When she became Prime Minister, May and her coterie of advisors, defined by a swagger and bravado that would swiftly become hubris. He's using the word hubris. Hungrily set their eyes on devouring UKIP's voting tally in the 2015 election in order to hand the Tories the landslide victory they'd been denied for 3 decades. No deal is better than a bad deal became her defining mantra, raising expectations to impossible levels and conferring respectability, desirability even, on a disastrous Brexit outcome. The chutzpah. Fancy the chutzpah on this woman. Then of quoting Nicholas Winton when he said compromise is not a dirty word in her farewell speech. Her allies in the media. That's right, she has so many allies in the media, just like Owen does. Set about monstering her opponents, poisoning the well of political discourse. The notorious enemies of the people Daily Mail front page was penned by James Slack, who promptly became a press secretary. The May premiership will be remembered. Well, I just like, what, a right-wing journalist become the press secretary for a right-wing party? That's mental, Owen, isn't it? Crazy. The May premiership will be remembered for creating an environment where terms like traitor and saboteur became commonplace. I think some of those were aimed at her, though, weren't they, Owen? She, too, deliberately stoked a culture war that threatens to consume Britain, most notoriously in her demagogic, "If you believe you are a citizen of the world, you are a citizen of nowhere" speech. She appointed Boris Johnson as Foreign Secretary, antagonising the EU states with whom she needed to strike a deal and reducing Britain further to the status of a laughingstock. That's right, Owen. She started the culture war, and she deliberately appointed Boris Johnson as Foreign Secretary just to piss people off, even though she was a Remainer and he was a Leaver. But that doesn't matter, Owen. Mere semantics, Owen. For purely domestic partisan gain, she repeatedly made inflammatory speeches about the EU that achieved nothing but fostered bad will. That's right. Yeah, you wouldn't catch Owen Jones being pro or against the EU and spouting stuff that would cause bad will against the other side. That's not the game Owen's played. Owen doesn't play that game. He sits on the fence with a very, very well-balanced eye. That is who Owen Jones is. Her Chancellor, Philip Hammond, made threats that if Britain did not get what it wanted, the government, because she was totally responsible for everything he said. Like, she literally had her hand up her arse, like this, like a puppet. Made threats that if Britain did get what it wanted, government would undercut the EU in a race to the bottom of the tax cuts and deregulation. Yes, that's called power play, Owen. Something that you would not understand. This was not just a commitment to repeal the hard-won rights and freedoms of the British people. That's right, the hard-won rights and freedoms, like to vote in a democracy, and for that vote and for the results of that vote to be carried out to the letter. That's right, Owen, because that's what we're talking about. Freedoms, and hard-won rights for democracy. Democracy. It's almost as if a democratic decision has been undermined. But a near declaration of war on what are supposed to be Britain's partners. But whatever her demagoguery, whatever her laughable empty platitudes of a red, white and blue Brexit, May had no meaningful plan at all, other than undeliverable red lines. She couldn't negotiate a deal with her own party, let alone with 27 foreign governments. That's Owen spitting, not me. Holding back tears, May ended her speech describing the enormous and enduring gratitude that I've had the opportunity to serve the country I love. But her real commitment was only to her party. She promised over and over again that she would not call a general election, but believing she had the opportunity to obliterate her opposition and turn Britain into a de facto one-party state. She broke her word. Deceit and dishonesty were the hallmarks of her doomed reign. When the Tories had the majority snatched away, May became a zombie Prime Minister. Sadly, as any avid watcher of the genre can testify, zombies can cause a lot of damage and are very hard to dispose of. Yeah, there's no zombies on the left, Owen, that's for sure. Not a single one. Having hyped up the no deal is better than a deal, May led Britain to the entirely predictable humiliation of a bad deal that her party zealots increasingly embraced, pushing Britain off the precipice was unsurprising. She kept throwing them red meat and they had only grown fatter and hungrier. But it's not just Brexit, for we must judge Prime Minister by her own promises. When she faithfully assumed the premiership, she declared war on the burning injustices. She correctly identified she had paved the road to Brexit, and then in the subsequent 3 years, she oversaw the biggest jump in child poverty for 3 decades, a housing crisis which has only worsened. The rollout of a universal credit system, which is a life-destroying disaster. These are all just opinions. The Grenfell fire will endure as a reminder of the social order built by Toryism, which prioritises money over human life. That's right. Theresa May actually lit the match that started Grenfell. Physically did it. The Windrush scandal. That's Owen's favourite one. It's his favourite. That's Owen Jones' favourite scandal, in which British citizens were denied medical care, kicked out of their homes, and even deported from their own country, remain a salutary lesson of where the migrant baiting May promoted leads. The surge in violent crimes will always testify to the disastrous consequences of the authority May herself champion. That's right, Owen, because there hasn't been any surges in violent crimes over the past 30 years. It doesn't go up and down like all the time. It's only here and now we care about. Like, forget the past and what's actually happened. There's no point in remembering like 2001, 2002 when the murder rate was double what it is now. Forget about that. You know, the decades of prosperity under Labour. Just forget about it. That never happened. It never the crime rate, the murder rate didn't double in 1 year, Owen. It's actually way less now than it was then. That didn't happen.
No, that didn't happen, Owen. Let's just forget that happened. That thousands and thousands of young boys, mainly, were either murdering or being murdered. And shooting and stabbing each other. Thousands of them, Owen. But let's forget that happened. That didn't happen, did it, Owen? It's far worse now.
I mean, Owen's probably not going to mention the fact that, we've had a sharp decline in terrorism since Theresa May took power. And however, despite all the police cuts that they were unhappy about, no one's going to mention that, are they? A few years ago they were whinging at Theresa May, not enough money going to the police, and then suddenly terrorism went boom. The threats apparently there isn't any terror. Apparently there aren't any terrorists anymore. Apparently. And however more insular Britain has become, let's not forget May's foreign policy record either, whether it be selling weapons to Turkey's murderous regime. It's called money, baby. Or arming and backing a Saudi dictatorship that has rained British weapons on Yemen, slaughtering thousands of innocents and creating the world's worst humanitarian disaster. If you wish to spend a moment expending valuable human sympathy, do it not for me. Do it for them. Let's give that one finger clap for Owen for the greatest virtue signal of 2019. Well done, Owen. Well done, you champion of all men and women and in between. The only leeway I'll give May is this. With Britain in turmoil, it will be so easy for the Tory party to claim this is all on her, to treat her as a human sponge, soaking up all the blame. But to paraphrase George Osborne, himself one of the chief architects of the chaos of our time, they're all in this together. The all-imposed cuts that ripped up our social infrastructure and fueled discontent and anger. They all whipped up resentment against migrants for the burning injustices they and their party's wealthy bankrollers were responsible for. That's right, that's exactly what they did. I remember everything they said bashing migrants. I remember all of it. All of it. It's all the bankers, isn't it? The bankers did it all. They all promoted an ideology which prioritizes markets ahead of human needs and aspirations. The May era was a time of chaos, but something worse now beckons, until Britain is rid of being ruled by a disintegrating Tory party. Because Labour's not disintegrating, it's strong. The Tory party is weak, Labour is strong. Whereas some idiots might say that both parties are completely weak and out of touch with the people and need to be binned off. But who are they anyway? Who are they? What sort of person would say that? Wise people? The proximate cause of our ills and a rotten social order that decays further with every passing day, then the turmoil will not only continue but deepen. What a legacy to leave. The May era was a time of chaos, but something worse now beckons. Oh no, I've read that bit, haven't I? What legacy? Oh, that's the end. I just wanted to read, the sign-off. That Owen Jones is a Guardian columnist and has been on work experience for 20 years. They just forgot. The school just forgot about him, and his parents wanted rid of him, and they kept him on because he doesn't get paid. No one knows how Owen gets his money. Maybe someone should investigate who funds Owen Jones. The EU, the Rat King, the Hamster Prince, perhaps. Goblins.